Bujuani, Bishikikwe Indigenous Cosmoquad Indodum. Hi, how are you? My name is Jillian Waterman. I'm a fashion designer and artist. Today we were going to be working on tufting. So in this video we're going to make a little tiny blueberry tuft. This time instead of doing one, I'm going to do 3 little berries and I think maybe just 1 or 2 tiny leaves. This one I just did 1 big berry. So in your tufting kit, you will have your Glover's needle, your sinew, your tufts, your fronts, and then you'll have backings and your earring posts as well. So this is very, very actually simple. On my sinew, I don't tie a knot or anything. I know other artists do their tufting a little different. This is what works best for me. So I have no knots on my sinew. I just have a little extra hanging here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm only going to go, we're going to go in through the back. About in the center. And then we're going to pull it through so that we have it like this, right? And you have a tail no knot. And then I make a secondary hole right next to it so that I make myself a little loop. Let's see if you can see that a little bit better. Put my strings. Okay, so we have a little loop. I'm going to push this all the way through. And keep my finger in there so I don't lose my loop. Okay, we have a loop. We have 2 ends. 2 ends, no knots, little loop. So that loop, I try to make it open and lay it to the side. Then I grab my tufting for my caribou fur. And because I want to do littler ones, I'm going to grab a little bit smaller chunks. With this one, I grabbed a pretty big chunk off of there. Because I want to do little guys, I'm just going to grab a little piece. And as you guys do it more, you'll figure out what size and how much you're going to need for what project you're doing. Okay, so I have my little tuft, I have my little loop, I put half of it through the loop, and then I make it smaller and smaller. I like to tuck my loop over by my finger while I pull it down. Make sure it's centered in the middle where I want it to be. And okay, now we have it about right there, right? And because I have nothing but these 2 right here, I'm going to pull them tight and watch the tuft. And now we have a little tuft. So now that we have our little, it's really simple. I like to at least go through mine. 1, 2, and then pull tight. And then take my needle off because I'm going to use it again. Go back in the back to go around mine twice, and then pull tight. And then you can clip it off. And of course at the very end, you're going to take a lighter and burn that down. And then we are almost there with your first tuft. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're going to shape our tuft. I like to first start off by just taking off my excess, just so I can see where I'm at. Okay. See how it's a little crazy on one side? On the other, as I start to trim it, how it starts to go down. So what I'm going to first do is go in a circle, so that I make it a little circle. Okay. Now I feel pretty good about the circle of it. Now I'm going to try to level out the top of my tuft. Do you see how I'm starting to shape it on this side and it's all smaller and the side's kind of cattywampus? Okay, that's kind of my favorite part right here. It's like being a beautician. I get to do everybody's hair. And there we are. We have our first little tuft. Okay, this is where I kind of get a little obsessive though, because I'll be here all day trying to perfect the shape. Make sure it is okay. There we go. We have our first little tuft. Okay, so you repeat this over and over. When it comes to your your leaves, what you're going to want to do is shape them, right? So the first thing, like I said before, is I always come back in and I shape them. Okay, now that you have either your 3 berries and your leaves, or your 1 berry and your leaves, or whether you're doing your poppy pin, which is done the exact same way. So what I would do for your poppy pin is I would do 4 big tufts, 1 on each side, and then I'd go back through and I would shape them like hearts. Here's a little tip. Some people like to draw their design on, and then they like to bead just that edge so that there is a guideline, and then they cut right around that same edge. And then you'll also have a backing to your earrings, which also, so what's not included is glue. I didn't know whether you guys wanted to use the E6000 or hot glue, or if you just want to sew your backing to straight to the back of it. That's completely up to you. I also cut little lines on my backing so that I can pop the one side through. Maybe I'll do a second video so that you guys can see how to finish them as well. But yeah, so that is pretty much it. You just make your little tuft, and then you end up coming back through with your shaping. If you can see on this one, they're not all the same height. I did that so that when you move them away, you can see that there's distinctly 3, even though I did not edge them with beads, because I don't like to bead. But I do occasionally bead so that I can get the best product possible. Of course, everybody loves a good beaded edge or a little extra bling. So I hope that helps explain how to tuft. I try to keep this video directed to the point. Please go ahead and reach back out if you have any other questions. Chi miigwech.